The invitation to the governor's charity ball sat on my kitchen counter for a week before Mom called. Her annual event, co-chaired with Dad, raising money for children's education. 500 guests, the state's elite, black tie required. "Lauren, we need to discuss Saturday's ball," she said, her voice carrying that familiar edge. "Your father and I have decided it's best if you don't attend this year." I was in my home office reviewing grant proposals for the foundation. 20 applications requesting funding, each one representing programs that could change children's lives. Why not? The guest list is extremely sophisticated this year. The governor, state senators, major philanthropists. People who donate hundreds of thousands to causes. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable around that level of society. I looked at the foundation checkbook on my desk. The one I'd used last month to write $1 million grant to the state's education initiative. The one that made me the governor's largest individual donor. I see. You know how you are at these events. You get quiet, you don't know what to say to successful people. Your sister Melissa will be there with her husband. They understand how to work a room, how to talk to donors. You just feel out of place. My foundation, established with my inheritance from Grandma Ruth, held assets of $50 million. I'd spent 5 years building it into one of the state's most influential educational charities. But I'd never mentioned any of this to my family. "I understand," I said quietly. "I knew you would. You've always been so reasonable about accepting your limitations. Not everyone can be sophisticated, and that's perfectly fine. You have your little nonprofit volunteer work. That's more your speed." My little nonprofit volunteer work. As founder and director of the Hartwell Foundation, I managed a staff of 12 and distributed $5 million annually in education grants. "Thanks for letting me know." "You're welcome, sweetheart. Oh, and don't feel obligated to donate to the cause. I know money is tight for you. Just knowing you support us in spirit is enough." She hung up. My assistant Jennifer knocked on the door. "Lauren, the governor's office called. They want to confirm you'll be at Saturday's ball. Apparently the governor wants to personally thank you for the education initiative funding. Says it's the largest single donation they've ever received. Tell them I'll be there. Your mother is co-chairing that event, right? She must be so proud." I didn't respond. The next day the governor's chief of staff, Michael Torres, called directly. "Ms. Hartwell, the governor is planning to recognize major donors during his speech Saturday night. You're first on the list. Your $1 million contribution transformed our literacy program. We'd like you at the head table." "Michael, there might be a complication. My parents are co-chairing. They don't know about my foundation work." Silence. "Then, they don't know you donated $1 million to the state's education initiative? They don't know I run a foundation. They think I do volunteer filing at a nonprofit." "Ms. Hartwell, you're the governor's largest individual donor. You've funded programs affecting thousands of children. How do your parents not know this? They've never asked about my work. They assume it's insignificant." More silence. "The governor specifically wants to thank you. Publicly. This is going to be awkward, isn't it?" "Probably. What do you want to do?" I thought about Mom's voice. "We can't have you at the charity ball." About 5 years of them dismissing my work without ever asking what I actually did. "I'll be there. The governor should recognize whoever he wants to recognize. My parents' misconceptions aren't his problem." Saturday evening I dressed in a midnight blue gown I'd purchased for foundation events. Elegant, understated, nothing like the uncomfortable woman Mom imagined. At 7 I arrived at the Grand Hotel ballroom. The red carpet was packed with guests in formal wear. At the entrance, Mom and Dad stood with the event committee, greeting arrivals. I walked up the red carpet alone. Mom's welcoming smile froze when she saw me. "Lauren, what are you doing here? I told you we decided you shouldn't attend." "Good evening, Mom. I'm here at the governor's request." "The governor's request?" Dad looked confused. "Lauren, this is a sophisticated event. The governor doesn't know you." "Ms. Hartwell." Michael Torres appeared, extending his hand. "The governor is looking forward to meeting you. He's been eager to thank you personally. Please come with me." Mom grabbed my arm. "There's been some mistake. My daughter isn't on the guest list. Ms. Hartwell is at the head table, Mrs. Hartwell. VIP seating as befits our largest donor." Michael's tone was professional but pointed. "This way, please." He led me past my parents' shocked faces into the ballroom. Crystal chandeliers, white roses, tables set with china and gold flatware. At the head table, place cards marked seats for the governor, state officials and major donors. My nameplate read, Lauren Hartwell, founder and director, Hartwell Foundation. The governor approached immediately, a tall man in his 60s with an easy smile. Lauren, finally we meet in person. I've been wanting to thank you since your $1 million grant arrived. That funding changed everything for our literacy program. Governor, I'm honored to support the work. Education is the foundation's primary mission. Your foundation has been transformative. Not just the education initiative, the rural schools grant, the teacher training program, the scholarship fund. You've done more for this state's children than most foundations twice your size. Several other guests joined us. State senators, education commissioners, nonprofit directors. All people who knew my work, who'd received grants or collaborated on programs. Lauren, your scholarship program saved our district, the superintendent of schools said. We couldn't have kept our arts classes without that funding. The teacher training grant was brilliant, a university president added. We've already seen measurable improvement in classroom outcomes. Across the room I saw Mom and Melissa staring. Dad was talking urgently with someone on the event committee, both of them looking at me. At 7:30 the program began. After dinner the governor took the podium. Tonight we celebrate extraordinary generosity. This year's education initiative has been our most successful fundraising campaign ever, raising $3 million for children's literacy and school programs. Applause filled the room. But I want to recognize one person whose contribution made all the difference. One donor who single-handedly provided a third of our total funding. Who believed in this mission so deeply that she committed her personal resources and her foundation's support to transforming education in our state. He turned toward me. Lauren Hartwell, founder and director of the Hartwell Foundation, donated $1 million to our education initiative. Lauren, please stand. I stood, my heart pounding. Cameras flashed. The room erupted in applause. Lauren's foundation has quietly been supporting children's education for 5 years. Rural schools, teacher training, scholarships, literacy programs, all funded by the Hartwell Foundation. Lauren has distributed over $20 million in educational grants, impacting tens of thousands of children. She represents the very best of philanthropic leadership. The applause continued. The governor gestured for me to join him at the podium. Lauren, on behalf of the state and the children whose lives you've changed, thank you. Your vision and generosity have created opportunities that wouldn't exist otherwise. He presented me with a Crystal Award, the Governor's Medal for Philanthropic Excellence. We posed for photos while cameras continued flashing. From the podium I could see my parents clearly. Mom had gone absolutely white. Dad's mouth hung open. Melissa was frantically typing on her phone. After the recognition I returned to my seat. The state senators and education officials congratulated me, discussing future collaborations and thanking me for existing grants. The superintendent leaned over. Lauren, I have to ask, are those your parents at table 12? The event co-chairs. Yes. Do they know about your foundation work? As of about 5 minutes ago. He looked at me with understanding. That must be complicated. Very. During dessert, Mom appeared at the head table. Her face was flushed, her voice tight. Lauren, can we speak? Privately. The governor noticed. Is everything all right, Mrs. Hartwell? Yes, Governor, I just need a moment with my daughter. Of course. Though I hope you're planning to tell her how proud you are. Her foundation has done remarkable work. Mom's smile was strained. Yes. So proud. So very proud. We stepped into a quiet corridor. The moment we were alone, her composure cracked. Why didn't you tell us? You run a foundation? You donated $1 million? You've been doing this for 5 years and never mentioned it. You never asked, Mom. You assumed my work was insignificant and never bothered to inquire further. You let us think you were struggling, that you did volunteer filing at some tiny nonprofit. I said I worked in nonprofit management. You heard what you wanted to hear. But $1 million donation? Where did you even get that kind of money? Grandma Ruth's inheritance. She left me $2 million when she died. I used it to establish the foundation. Mom's eyes widened. Your grandmother left you $2 million? She only left me 50,000. Because she knew I'd use it to help people. She knew you'd use it for social climbing. Dad appeared equally shaken. Lauren, the governor just told me you're the state's largest individual education donor. That you've distributed $20 million in grants. How is that possible? I invested Grandma's inheritance wisely. The foundation has grown considerably. And you never thought to tell us? To include us in this work. You told me I wasn't sophisticated enough for tonight's ball. You said I'd be uncomfortable around successful people. Why would I share my foundation work with parents who think I'm inadequate? Melissa joined us, her face red. Everyone is talking about you. About how you're this major philanthropist and we didn't even know. I look like an idiot. My own sister. I'm sorry my success is inconvenient for you. The governor asked me why we weren't celebrating your work as a family, Dad said, his voice strained. I had to admit we didn't know about it. Do you know how that made us look? Like parents who don't pay attention to their daughter's life. Which is accurate. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Everyone is whispering. The event committee, the donors, everyone. They're saying we must not be close. That we're not involved in your life. Lauren, you've embarrassed us. I've embarrassed you? You uninvited me from this ball because you thought I wasn't good enough. The governor's largest donor wasn't welcome at her own parents' charity event. The governor's chief of staff appeared. Ms. Hartwell, sorry to interrupt, but there are several donors who want to meet you. Potential collaborations for the foundation. Of course. I'll be right there. As I turned to leave, Dad grabbed my arm. Lauren, please. Can you tell people this was a misunderstanding? That we knew about your work and just wanted to surprise you? You want me to lie to protect your reputation? We're your parents. Parents who didn't think I was sophisticated enough for their social circle. I'm not lying for you, Dad. The truth is the truth. I returned to the ballroom where foundation directors, nonprofit leaders and business executives wanted to discuss partnerships. For the next hour I talked about grants, programs, impact metrics. This was my world. What I'd built quietly for 5 years while my family dismissed me. Around 10 the event coordinator approached Mom and Dad. I was close enough to hear his quiet words. The committee wants to discuss co-chair assignments for next year's ball. Given tonight's complications, we think it's best to make some changes. Mom's face crumbled. Losing the co-chair position meant losing social status, access, influence. Everything she valued. The next morning the story was everywhere. State's largest education donor uninvited from parents' charity ball. Photos of me receiving the governor's award. Articles about the foundation's 5-year impact. Commentary about parents so disconnected they didn't know their daughter ran a major philanthropy. Mom called at 8. Lauren, we need damage control. The society pages are destroying us. People are calling us neglectful. Uninvolved. We're being dropped from committees. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. Lauren, our reputation is being destroyed. You have to fix this. I didn't break it, Mom. You did that when you decided I wasn't good enough for your sophisticated event. We didn't know. How were we supposed to know you had millions of dollars? You were supposed to ask about my life. To show interest in my work. To value me regardless of how much money I had. Dad got on the line. The governor's office released a statement praising your foundation. It mentions that you were originally uninvited from the ball. Lauren, that makes us look terrible. Then maybe you shouldn't have uninvited me. We're your family. You should protect us. You should have protected me. You should have included me. You should have been proud of me before the governor announced it publicly. Melissa texted, Mom is having a breakdown. Everyone is talking about us. Can you please do something? I didn't respond. 3 days later the governor's office called. Ms. Hartwell, we'd like you to join the State Education Board. Your expertise and philanthropic perspective would be invaluable. The governor is appointing you personally. I'd be honored. The appointment made news. More photos, more articles, more public recognition of my work. Mom tried once more 2 weeks later. A tearful call about being sorry, about not understanding, about wanting another chance. I need time, Mom. You spent 5 years dismissing me. You can't erase that with apologies. How long will you punish us? I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. 6 months later, the foundation held its annual gala. Donors, grant recipients, education leaders, all gathering to celebrate the year's achievements. The governor attended, as did state officials and nonprofit directors. My parents weren't invited. They saw photos on social media. Me with the governor, with senators, with the children whose programs we'd funded. The life I'd built without them, the respect I'd earned, the impact I'd created. Mom sent a text. "You look beautiful. I'm proud of you." I stared at it for a long time. Pride offered after public recognition, after social consequences, after everyone else had validated me first. Eventually I replied, "Thank you." It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't reconciliation. It was acknowledgement that she existed, nothing more. Because I'd learned the most important lesson. My worth wasn't determined by my parents' recognition. The governor knew my value. Grant recipients appreciated my work. Thousands of children benefited from my foundation. My parents' blindness was their limitation, not mine. They'd said I wasn't sophisticated enough for their charity ball. But I was sophisticated enough to fund it. To change lives. To earn a governor's medal. To build something that mattered. And I'd done it all while they assumed I was filing papers in a basement somewhere. The foundation continued growing. The grants kept flowing. Children kept learning. And my parents learned what it felt like to be excluded from something important. Not because they weren't good enough, but because they'd failed to recognize what was valuable when it stood right in front of them. Sometimes the greatest success is the kind nobody expected. Especially the kind your own family couldn't see.